My name is Ismail. I'm the Chief Executive of Iskandar. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone, especially from the media, and thanks to Firefly for being able to bring this group of people from the media. Other bloggers juga, I understand, from the together here, and I think this particular day is dedicated to Iskandar Malaysia. I understand that you have a full day today, from the time you arrived in Senai, and I think after this short briefing, which I will give to you shortly, you will have a tour of some of the places within Iskandar Malaysia to enable you to get more what I call direct experience what's happening in Iskandar Malaysia. And for the rest of the day, there are definitely other programs and activities arranged for you. Now, I've been requested by my people to make sure that you are back on the bus by somewhere a little bit after 11:30, so that you'll be able to go to and see the site for yourself. But I thought it would be appropriate for me to first introduce this region called Iskandar Malaysia. This is to ensure that you have a good mental picture about where is Iskandar Malaysia and the size and the magnitude of its planning and development. Now, as you see before you, especially those who are from our neighboring countries, Iskandar Malaysia is situated within a region of about 2,217 kilometers square. It is in the state of Johor, situated right at the southern tip of Peninsular Malaysia. Yeah. So it covers several districts and several areas of local authorities, namely Johor Bahru City. It stretches to the west, right up to the port of Tanjung Pelepas. If you look at the that little display which says C there, that is the port of Tanjung Pelepas. And right to the east here is zone of flagship D. This is Tanjung Lansat, Pasir Gudang area. So you have the river of Johor that stretches right up to Kota Tinggi, and it is only about half an hour away, or in some instances only 20 minutes away across into Singapore. So if you make a direct comparison, this region is about 3 times the size of the island of Singapore. Okay. Now, we first launched this region way back in 2006, November of 2006. So you can consider 2006 is not much of a happening. So it was in 2007 when we started all this. We have actually planned the growth of this region over a period of 20 years. This is not something that we do over a matter of few weeks or few months. You need to really plan for the economic growth of this region. The whole idea about developing this region is that we see the potential of this region in terms of its strategic location. If you look at the whole map of ASEAN, you will find that Singapore as well as Iskandar Malaysia is situated right in the heart of where ASEAN is, and it is right in the center of two big emerging economies. To the east, we will have China, Japan, Korea. To the west, we have India, as well as the Middle East, and of course as far as Europe. So this has always been traditionally the spice route in 1511 and so on. So now we are revisiting this region, and we find that there's a lot of potential for its growth. And true enough, we are now in our 5th year. All that we have planned, we have actually covered the first phase of its development, and you'll find that there are a lot of things happening already within this region. So, where's the pointer? Okay. So, within this region, what we see that we need to elevate this region from what is considered a middle income economy into a high income economy. And we have 20 years to realize its vision. However, even within the first 5 years, we have managed to secure investment almost 48% more than what we have actually forecast. For example, from the year 2006 right up to December 2007, our forecast growth of investment had been about 47 billion ringgit. But in December itself of last year, we managed to secure investment of 69 billion ringgit. 69 billion ringgit. This is something like 48% more than what we have actually forecast. So this shows that even in its initial years of the planning and development, there already have been a lot of interest in terms of investment coming in. But our strategy is that although this region have got both its greenfield as well as brownfield side, but we need to strategize it in a way in which we must first identify what are the economic sector that are needed in order to ensure that it has or experience that economic growth. So we have identified 9 economic sector that we feel are important to drive the economic growth of this region. Yeah. From these 9 economic sector, 3 are in manufacturing and 6 are in services. Okay. Now, we have seen the initial years in the sector of health, in the sector of education, as well as in the sector of tourism, that we have actually experienced a lot of hype and a lot of activity. You've heard about in the area of tourism, where it is related very much to, for example, tourism, health, tourism, retail, not necessarily limited to tourism as in nature. Not forgetting that all these areas are well served by all the infrastructure, which at the moment is mainly by road. But we have plans to introduce the BRT, which will later be upgraded to MRT, so that at the end of the day, this population today, which is about 1.5 million, when it reaches 3 million by the year 2025, we will be better served by a system to enable efficient movement of people within this region, and as well as connected with the other regions, which includes Singapore. Now, the role of the government here, which is translated through this agency called IRDA, is actually to coordinate and facilitate all developments within this area. So our role is actually to work with other government and public agencies. More importantly, we have to work with the industry on how to promote and to develop the right type of economic activity within this region. And we have to work with the community. It is also important for us to engage with the community as well as the community leaders to ensure that as we develop, this whole process of creating wealth and distribution will be done in a systematic manner. Because if you look at the development of the economy of a particular region, the most important is how to create a wealth and at the same time benefiting the people who live and work within this region. So that is why I think you must have heard about the BN Youth Fair yesterday, which was launched by the Prime Minister, where it was announced that in Iskandar, Malaysia, we have actually created 20,000 job opportunities. So this is the whole process that we have to take on board. We cannot just simply bring in investors and let those investors find their own way in finding people and employment. So the role of IRDA, among others, is actually to make sure that as investment come in, we will be able, at the initial stage, lock upon them the type of employment and the type of skills that is required to ensure that by the time these facilities are up and ready for operation, we will be able to give the right matching in terms of supply of people to take up positions within those places. So this is the challenge, as I mentioned earlier, that is required. Now the role of government, therefore, is actually not only to ensure that the average people will benefit out of this, but also to make sure that we will create what we call the right environment for investment. So the government doesn't take the role of doing the investment itself, because the investment must be taken up by the private sector. We anticipate, as has been announced by the Prime Minister in his economic transformation program, he says that government role is only 8%. 92% must come from the private sector. And this is exactly what we are doing at the moment. We facilitate, we create the environment for investment, for economic growth. It is upon the private sector that is the one that will be doing it. And true enough, you see, so far the government has played its role in terms of providing infrastructure. Under the 9th Malaysian Plan, which is a 5-year economic plan for the benefit of our guests, which is a 5-year economic plan, we have actually spent about 2.6 billion ringgit